Hello and welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm, strategic growth advisor for female leaders in aesthetics who disrupt the status quo. And I am on a mission to help 100 intentional and inspiring women in aesthetics cross the next $1 million mark in their business this year. And I wanted to share with you a very important strategy that our clients implement in our academy to help them accomplish the goal of growing their business in a deeply satisfying, meaningful, lucrative way. And that is by focusing on disqualification. Okay. I know it might sound counterintuitive to you, but I'm telling you, when you start to think like this, start to think about what kind of boundaries you want to put into place in your business to protect the framework of your time, of your energy, of your amazing experience that you want to provide for your patients, your life and business will change. And I'll tell you this because as the former managing director of a multi-seven-figure plastic surgery institute, I was regularly hearing that price was an objection when patients were calling. And we had to learn how to stop selling, and I see a lot of our clients will come to us or our community members saying like, gosh, we need to invest in teaching my team how to sell more. We need to get better at selling. And when you really start to peel back the layers of the onion and look at why is the team not effective at selling, it really has much less to do about the team's ability to sell and more to do about the team's ability to identify who is a qualified buyer, and B, to understand whether that patient sees themselves as worthy of investing in themselves and that treatment or not. Okay. And so based on this phenomenon, right? Like, hello, sales is old school now. Like we don't have to convince patients and, grab them by the hair, kicking and screaming to come in for a treatment. We simply need to have confidence in our ability to identify who's the right fit for our practice and then guide them and usher them into a place of having that consultation with us. Really, those phone calls that come in should be a two-minute conversation to get them to book, not a whole convincing session of schmoozing them into why they should book a consult or justifying or trying to convince them. And so I've created a tool, a resource that I wanted to kind of bring to this podcast and make available to you guys that really takes a member of your practice or you right through this 4-step process of how to confidently finesse and handle price objections, both over the phone and in person, by mastering these 4 steps, right? So I call this guide How to Convert Callers into Consults. And I'm going to have this available to you to be able to download today as a free guide. It's something you can use for your team, but I wanted to take this. I'm making a video today and also recording this as an audio podcast for this to be a tool that you are able to use in tandem with the visual guide to help walk your team through this objection handler. Okay, so by a raise of hands, raise your hand if someone has called your practice and said, ring, 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 hello, how much is Botox, right? You're like, duh, obviously, Kaylee, I get that call all the time. Maybe you don't, or maybe you did in the beginning and you don't anymore, but this is a common question that I get. Like, how do we handle that? I can't not answer the question. People want to know the answer to that. And so what I want to encourage you to think about today is that patient is not calling for Botox. Okay, let's be real. That patient, nobody wants to go and get Botox. Nobody wants to go put needles in their head or get injected with a botulism toxin, right? That patient is looking for an outcome, a solution to a problem that they may have that is related to a bigger core desire. And so I want us to really think about that and use that question as a way to really uncover what their overall concern is. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through this 4-step process. Number 1, uncover. Okay. So the primary goal here is to really reveal the patient's main concern through question layering so that we're able to move the conversation away from price to solution. All right. So remember, when a patient asks about price, what they're really asking is, does the level of which you're able to solve my problem align with what I am willing to pay? Okay. And what I want to remind you of, leader, is that price is only a question in the absence of value. Okay. So when a patient is asking about price, they're of course they want to know what something costs, but price is irrelevant if the value of what they're going to spend is not going to meet the need that they have, right? So like, I use the analogy of a breast implant. If someone said to me, I'll do a breast aug for you for $1, I wouldn't spend $1 because I'm not looking for a breast aug, right? But the solution needs to match the value of what is important to me. Now, if someone said, would you spend $10,000 on a facelift? I would definitely do that, right? So I'm only partially joking. So all you facelift doctors, don't start calling me 50 when I'm 50. All right. So it is our job to take the how much question as an opportunity to showcase our unique ability to solve their problems. So during this uncovering stage, we're not going to directly go in and answer that question, how much is Botox, right? Instead, we're going to be asking questions like, well, thanks for calling, Susie. Tell me about the goal that you're looking to achieve. So when someone's calling about Botox, how do you know, how do you even answer that question if you don't know how much they want, if you don't know where they want it, if you don't know that, if you're not totally sure Botox is going to be the solution for them, right? A lot of patients can, misinterpret really what product that they need to, maybe they think Botox is a filler. Maybe they don't, they don't necessarily know. And so asking questions like, what's the goal you're looking to achieve? Or how long has this been a problem for you? Or have you addressed this problem in the past? What has worked and what didn't work? Ultimately, what you're doing here is you're going through a series of you're unlayering questions to get to past the superficial price question down to uncovering what their problem is. Okay. And this is really answering this is a twofold solution, right? So number one, it's giving you more information about what they're looking for. And number two, it's helping them really take a step back and think a little bit more about, the complexity of their problem. It's really kind of digging into making them feel the problem a little bit more so that they are a little bit more hypersensitive to needing the solution. Okay. All right. So in this step, then what you want to be thinking about is, what is the underlying concern the patient is calling about? Okay. So once you have that question answered, then it's time to move into step 2, which is to credential. Okay. So in this step, we're using language related to our doctor or our provider's unique skills. We're going to talk about their experience, their expertise, remind the patient that they have chosen the most qualified expert to solve their underlying problem from above. So once we've uncovered what the underlying problem is, our doctor becomes an expert. Okay. So if my problem is that my boobs are saggy, right? This is where I'm going to say, Kaylee, thanks so much for calling. It's so nice to meet you. I appreciate you sharing your concerns about your saggy boobs. Sounds like this has been a problem for you for a while since you had your children. And I want to remind you that you have called, Dr. Smith is the absolute best, in his field at this. He's an expert at fixing saggy boobs. Okay. So what we're doing here is we're mirroring actual words that the patient is saying to relate and resonate with them and their concerns. We're basically saying, hey, we've heard you. I heard what you're saying. I'm listening to you. And then I'm credentialing my doctor as the solution. Okay. So we're like 30 seconds into the conversation here, you guys, and I've already uncovered the problem and I've credentialed my doctor. Okay. So an example of what this might sound like is, Susie, thank you for sharing your concerns about facial aging. You were in the right hands. Dr. Smith is a board certified plastic surgeon and injector trainer for the world's top injectors. He believes in natural artistry and he will absolutely help you achieve your goal of blah, blah, blah. and be able to provide a maintenance plan for you so that you can best protect your investment. How does that sound? Of course, the patient's going to say that sounds fabulous, right? So in the exercise in this section is I want you to write down, what are the 3 main outstanding credentials that you can use or your team can use to qualify your practice with every single caller? We should have these listed out, written down for our staff up front to be constantly saying on repeat. This should just literally roll off the tongue here, okay? So step 1, we're uncovering. So we're moving past the price question. We're learning about the goal. We're understanding what the goal is, how long it's been a concern, right? Then once we have that language, then we're credentialing the practice, we're credentialing the physician, and then we're using our own top 3 really credentialing pieces or statements or sentences, expertise, specialties, proprietary methods, etc., right? That's where we're going to plug those into the credentialing section. Okay, so we've gone over step 1, uncover, step 2, credential. Now we're going to move into step 3, which is to educate. Okay, so the main goal of this step is to shift the patient's limited perspective related to what they're calling for and really open up a world of opportunity with your practice. So the conversation might look something like this. After you've already uncovered, you've credentialed, you might say, most patients expect to spend in the range of X and Y to address insert underlying problem. Depending on the treatment plan agreed upon with Dr. Smith, we have a variety of options for treating your concerns and can certainly design a plan for you that aligns with your budget and timeline. Now, I'm telling you right now, if you take nothing else from this training today, look in the mirror, get your team to stand and look in the mirror and practice saying this 10 times to yourself. We have a variety of options for treating your concerns and can absolutely design a plan for you that aligns with your budget and timeline. Okay, get comfortable and confident knowing that you have an option for them and they're in excellent hands. They are not the doctor. The person answering the phone is not the doctor. The goal is to get this patient converted into a consultation so that the doctor can choose what treatment plan is best for them. Okay. And I think that's where we get hung up too many times, is that we take that price question so literally, and many patients don't know what else to ask. They're really just trying to, they're trying to decide is this a place that I'm going to test out and take the time to establish trust and rapport with, right? And so part of it's just, how are you communicating with them on the phone? That is just the first step. Are you listening to them? You know, are you reassuring them that they're calling the right place? Guys, this is not the beginning, the top of the sales funnel. Okay, this patient, you've probably already been marketing to them. You probably have already, or they've been referred by a friend, right? They're taking the time to call your practice. There should be no question about whether they're going to book or not. If they're not ready to book, it is because they have not convinced themselves that they are worth investing in at this time, in which case, no amount of schmoozing or convincing or hand-holding over the phone is going to get them in your chair. Okay, the right solution to these conversations is to go through this 4-step process of uncovering, of credentialing, of educating, and feeling very comfortable to help explain to them that I can't answer all of your questions over the phone. What I can tell you is that you're in the right hands and that we have a variety of options for treating your concerns and can absolutely design a plan for you that aligns with your budget and timeline. Okay. All right, cool. So those are the first 3 steps. Now it's time for the hook. Okay. Step 4, the hook. So this is often where a big whoops happens, by the way. We haven't collected patient information, we forget to ask for the appointment, or we simply let them go shop around without handling their other objections, okay? So we need to make sure that we have done our job asking them to come in and getting them to book, okay? Conversations in this step may sound something like this. Susie, and by the way, I used the patient's name here on purpose, right? Susie, I am 100% confident that we can make you look and feel amazing. Insert their underlying problem, right? Susie, I'm 100% patient, 100%, confident that we can help you look and feel amazing. And and Dr. Smith can address your, XYZ problem. So let's get you booked for a consultation with Dr. Smith as soon as possible. We have X time and Y time available this week. Do which one of these work best for you? Notice I didn't leave an open calendar like, when would you like to come in? No. Dr. Smith is highly sought after. Dr. Smith is busy. Dr. Smith is in demand. Okay. And this is where we start setting these boundaries with patients. So not only do we show them that we have limited time available for you because we're in very high demand, right? But it gives them less decision fatigue because they have two choices to make. Now, if they look at those times and they're not available at that time, then we can work them into the schedule somewhere else. But we're giving them these two times. So you can see how punchy and precise this conversation is. I'm taking them through and I'm guiding them and leading them. I'm showing them that you have a guide here. I can help you. I will hold your hand and take you through this process of feeling comfortable, of solving your problem, credentialing our doctor, and getting you booked for your appointment. Okay. Now, if there is a consultation fee, be sure to confidently note this and move on. Most practices charge a consultation fee and are certainly busy. Qualified and credentialed practices always charge a consultation fee. So the patient should not be surprised by that. There is no reason to apologize for that. There is no reason to feel uncomfortable asking for that. We have clients that charge consultation fees anywhere from $150 to $350, okay, around the country. And so there's no reason. If your team has trouble asking for that, then I have another training I'll link up here to send them to about helping them see sales as not being sleazy, right? It's just simply serving. But this is where this is our fee. This is how it works. This is how we would collect. This is our booking / consultation policy in our practice. Okay. So what I want you to write down for this last step is, what is your booking and consultation policy in your practice? And make sure that you feel extremely comfortable answering that. Again, this is the fee. Like, nobody's out here pro bono. I love people who are, doing volunteer work, but we're here to run businesses. Okay. And so we have to make sure that our team is comfortable articulating that fee to patients and not apologizing for it. Okay. All right. And finally, a pro tip for you. While price is generally the number one objection you hear, keep in mind that patients will use price to uncover their true objection. So educate and show value of the treatment or product to help them realize the value. Don't hesitate to educate patients on the possible risk of buying somewhere else. I'm not saying come in immediately with that, but if you're board certified MD, or you have X amount of experience as an injector, or et cetera, or you're, a physician associate and you have certain X amount of credentialing, right? Make sure your team is comfortable articulating that and why, and understands why that puts you in the category of one versus those other competitors that are out there. Okay. Here's an example in this stage, right? Purchasing the same medical grade skincare products at our office versus online at a cheaper site could compromise the integrity of the product. It's impossible to know if products are being stored properly or are in fact produced and distributed by a true healthcare professional. Come to us and we will take care of you. In fact, we have really incredible loyalty programs that will help you save money to boot. Okay. So remember, you have all these solutions for these patients. So in 2 minutes, this conversation is not about, let's talk about answering 10 questions, right? That is for the consultation. So if your girls or boys, right, if your team is spending more than 2 minutes on the phone, you need to work on qualifying and ultimately disqualifying. That patient is not ready to buy. If they're not ready to make an investment in themselves and your team is following this script, then there isn't anything that you can do. We'll get that patient in your pipeline and market to them until they're ready, but we can't pull that patient into a point convincing them. This is not a place for our team to be spending our time. Okay. All right. So I just walked you through this guide, and hopefully this has been a helpful training. For those of you who are listening to this on audio, on podcast, I'm going to link up the resource for you to go watch the video that I'm recording, but also to download this guide for free. You can go to klcconsultants.com/callers to consults. That's callers, TO, consults, CONSULTS. klcconsultants.com/callers to consults. And I will link this up in the show notes as well. So you guys can listen to this and share this guide with your team. Please stop selling. Please stop convincing. Start disqualifying patients who are not ready and who will not be the right fit, right? Get focused. Follow that 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the patients that are going to bring you the 20% of the patients that are going to be ready to invest are going to bring the most revenue to your practice. So let's get focused. I hope this is a helpful tool for you. I know that this has been a really great resource for our team and for our clients. So thanks so much for tuning in today, and I'll talk to you next week.